Hey everybody, welcome back to my casual run of Dark Souls Remastered. This is part 4 and my name is Rob. Hiya! So today, I wanted to go over some different items I've picked up so far in the playthrough to kind of, I just want to go over what's in my inventory so far before it gets overly cluttered. To anybody that's new to the game, kind of what everything does that you pick up. As I expressed before, it's important to read item descriptions in this game to figure out what everything does, because the game doesn't tell you otherwise. But I'll give a brief description of everything. Your orange guidance soapstone is used to create user messages. These things that you see laying around, that's what you use that for. I'll demonstrate that right now. Oops. So you go to use item, you can write message, you can rate a message, you can view all the messages that you've made so far. There you go. Praise the sun. And then people can give that a plus or a minus if they love it, if they hate it. Your white sign soapstone, that is your first summon sign that you get in the game that Solaire gives to you. This allows you to do some co-op. I'm gonna come over here, take out these hollows real quick, and I'm gonna put my sign down and, you know, just see. I'm gonna at least demonstrate what it looks like, and you never know. Somebody else might be online at this time and want a little co-op for the gargoyles, or just for this area. So when you use this item, you put down your white sign. And that sign can change color slightly depending on what covenant you're in. I'll get into that later. You got your cracked red eye orbs. These will allow you to do invasions, but you have to be in human form in order to use them. They're temporary, and every time you use one to successfully invade, that uses up one in your inventory. The black separation crystal, this allows you to banish phantoms or to return home from another world. So let's say you're either summoned to another world or you invade. You can use this to get out of that other person's world. Or if you summon somebody to help you, you can use that item to just banish them from your world if you're tired of them being around, or if they're not being helpful or something. However, whenever you're invaded by a black phantom, they're called a black phantom, but they show up in red, you're not able to banish them from your world, unfortunately. Whenever they show up, it's either fight or flight. The purging stone I bought. It's good to always have one of these in your inventory for certain areas of the game where you can be susceptible to a status ailment called curse. I'll demonstrate how that works later, just to give you guys an idea of, you know, how it works, what it does, and what you can do about it. You got offensive items like fire bombs, black fire bombs, Lloyd's talisman. This is more of a PvP item that prevents people from using Estus if you hit them with it. Like if you fighting somebody that keeps on healing, whenever you're getting close to killing them, you can tag them with one of these and they won't be able to use their Estus flask. Alluring skull, we picked up some of these. This kind of functions as a decoy around enemies. If you throw it on the ground, that'll distract them from you. They'll go after the remnants of souls that these things give off, and it serves as a temporary distraction to get them off your back if you're getting swarmed. Transient curse. This temporarily allows you to fight ghosts. This is useful for the new Londo area that I showed at the beginning of the game, where I got that first Firekeeper's soul. And this is kind of like it's a temporary curse without the side effects of actual cursing. Homeward Bone, that just allows you to teleport back to your bonfire. Binoculars, they're kind of neat if you want to get a better look at something. Can you zoom in? Yeah, you can zoom in and out with the D-pad a little bit if you just want to get a closer look at something. What else we got? Got the humanity. I talked a little bit about that. You have the humanity, excuse me, in your inventory, that if you use one, that increases the counter on the upper left side of the screen. And the function of humanity, besides being able to go human and kindle bonfires, the more humanity you've got, the higher your item discovery. And that maxes out up to 10 soft humanity. That's the humanity in the counter. And it also, I'm trying to think of what the number is. I think it also increases your curse resistance up to 30 humanity, and then it'll slightly increase your defenses overall up to 99. And I don't have a chaos weapon yet, or I'd be able to demonstrate it. I will later on in the playthrough. But it also increases the damage of chaos weapons. It increases physical and fire damage of those. Twin humanities, that's just 2 for 1, basically. Rubbish has no value. Who in their right mind would bother carrying this around? Perhaps you need help. Now, it actually does have a use, and I'll show that later on. The Dark Sign, it functions like a teleport. It teleports you back to the bonfire, but you lose all of your humanity and souls. That's kind of like a last resort. And it's supposed to be the dark sign that you're branded with that makes you undead. So, you know, lore, all that good stuff. Upgrade materials, titanite chunks, titanite chunks, and twinkling titanite. Twinkling titanites for special weapons. We don't have any in our inventory yet, but I'll demonstrate how that works later in the playthrough. Titanite chunks are for their higher grade reinforcement materials, and we're not able to use that just yet. I talked about keys. I didn't talk about the bottomless box, even though I bought it from the merchant. That's just used to clean up your inventory. If it starts getting cluttered, you can put all kinds of items, weapons, armor in it that you don't want to use, just to make it easier to navigate. The different keys, yeah, you can read them. It'll kind of tell you where to go. We picked this up in the Undead Parish, in the room with that wild hog. And it tells you about the lower Undead Burg. I'm not going to go there for this particular part. I actually want to take a slight detour, but we're going to be going there soon. I don't have any spells in my inventory, but this slot is for spells. This is the weapons. I talked a little bit about the Drake Sword. Hang on. How it's a good beginner weapon. This is actually a good opportunity to demonstrate something. So, that first number that pops up on your weaponry, like the long sword is 80, the Drake Sword is 200. And if you look on your physical attack, that's 80 plus 15. That plus 15 comes from the scaling parameter bonus. And as you can see, we got a C scaling in strength and dexterity, no scaling in intelligence or faith. So basically what that means is the higher you raise your strength and dexterity throughout the game, the more scaling damage you'll get for this particular weapon. So even though it's weak right now, it'll get stronger as you raise your stats. The Drake Sword, on the other hand, it starts out with 200 physical damage, 0 scaling damage because it has no scaling in strength or dexterity. So what that means is, you know, yeah, it starts off much stronger than some of the other weapons you get, and it's good for these opening areas, but it does not get any stronger when you raise your stats. So it's just a flat 200 damage for the whole game unless you reinforce it. And reinforcing any weapon that you get from a dragon tail, it can be a little bit of a pain because it only upgrades with dragon scales, which are not the easiest to come by. And every time you reinforce a dragon weapon, that's 10,000 souls. Whereas reinforcing the longsword with just some regular titanite shards would be, what is it, like 200 souls just to reinforce? It's almost nothing. The gargoyle, oh wait. Before I do that, there's one cool thing you can do with the Drake Sword. It has a special two-handed R2 attack. I'll demonstrate that. Yeah. So that's fun and everything. Took away 30 durability though, and does that every time you use that special attack. So don't go too crazy with it. Let's see, and the Gargoyle Tail Axe. That's not a dragon weapon, even though I got it from a tail cut. Doesn't look like we have the dexterity to use it, but I'll just demonstrate it real quick. This has this weird bendy effect. Some people really like it. I've never actually used it that much, but it seems like it could be pretty good. Talisman for casting miracles, which we don't have any just yet. We will later in the playthrough, though. And then shields. Whenever you're looking at selecting your shields, that first stat that you see there to the left, that's not important for shields at all, unless you're doing a shield-only run where you're, you know, using shields as your weapon. But yeah, that's probably not the best idea for a first playthrough. The stat you want to look at with your shields, the main stat, is stability. What that stat counts is exactly how much of your stamina is going to be taken whenever you block a hit, and before you know you can be guard broken. It's 56. That's pretty good starting off. You want to look at your physical resistance. This shield has 100% physical damage reduction, so if you can tank a physical hit with it and it won't bypass any of the shield's defenses. As a contrast, we can look at the wooden shield. Has 93% physical resistance, so a little bit of physical damage will get through when you tank a hit. Magic damage reduction, fire, lightning. At the very beginning of the game, the main one that's important is physical. Later on, we can worry about fire, lightning, and magic with different bosses. Gargoyle shield has 85% physical damage reduction, but it also has 75% fire and 70% lightning damage reduction. So if you're going up against a boss or an enemy that uses a lot of elemental attacks like that, it can be useful. The light crossbow, I'm probably not going to use that on this character, but they can be useful. They don't scale with any particular stat, but they get massive damage upgrades whenever you upgrade them. So if you need a little ranged attack and you want to get something that hits kind of hard early on, crossbows aren't a bad thing to use. Alright, so now that I've jabbered on about all that good junk, I'll go ahead and cancel this summon sign. I don't think, if we haven't been summoned yet, I don't think it's going to happen. So onward with part 4. I want to go into a forested area, take out a mini boss as well as a boss, and grab several very, very useful items that are good to have near the beginning of the game. But first, we're going to take a detour from the detour because I want to talk to an NPC over here. As you can see, it's pretty much a dead end. And we have an onion-shaped knight dude just kind of sitting here like he's thinking or something. Yeah, he's in really deep thought.
Oh, forgive me. I was absorbed in thought. I am Siegmeyer of Katarina. Quite honestly, I've run flat up against a wall, or a gate, I should say. The thing just won't budge, no matter how long I wait. And oh, have I waited. So here I sit, in quite a pickle, weighing my options, so to speak.
Yeah, he seems like he might be just a little thrown off his rocker. He's just waiting for the gate to do something, but it doesn't do anything.
Still closed. Still closed.
Oh, good old Sigmire. Nice guy, but he ain't got no sense. But he has a quest line that has a pretty interesting twist at the end, as well as a good reward if you go through with it, so I'm going to demonstrate how to do that in this playthrough. Okay. So on down the stairs. And through here. First time playing the game, I was like, what the hell is that? This is a Titanite demon, also known as a prowling demon. And he just gave me a good whacking. Yeah, he's kind of a mini boss that you run into early on. Doesn't respawn, thankfully. There are multiple ones of these guys throughout the game, but only one of them ever respawns. That's not till much later. Ugh. I'm sucking at this. Still early in the morning, y'all. Haven't finished my coffee. Whoop. There we go. Yeah, when you're fighting enemies in this game, the dodge roll, very important mechanic. It's good to be fast rolling because you get the most invincibility frames during your roll. And even though sometimes it looks like something should have hit me, it doesn't. Well, that's because those invincibility frames activate and I'm invulnerable for a split second. The less armor you're wearing, the easier it is to get those iframes activated to get the most out of them. And he drops Demon Titanite. That's special upgrade materials for boss weapons. Yeah, there's like one boss weapon in particular I want to show in this playthrough, which is a really good recommended beginner's weapon. So I'm going to try and stack up as many of those as I can. So here we go. This is the forested area I was talking about. And right away we have very hostile tree guys. But with a +5 halberd and the stats to use it, they're not that bad. So this actually splits off into two different paths right away. I'm gonna stick to this one to start off with. Or actually, no, I'm gonna come down this way. There's something I want down here. That tree guy just dropped a blood red moss clump. That is a healing item for healing bleed damage. That can be useful for a part that we're going to get to fairly shortly. I'm not articulating good this morning. We'll probably go to that area in part 5 or so. Come down here. It's a corpse with some items on it, some armor, and a free longbow. A lot of times I'll just get the longbow instead of the short bow, but I actually prefer the speed in which you can shoot off arrows with the short bow. The longbow does a little bit more damage and it sends the arrows a little bit farther, but it's slower. I barely even saw him there, even though I knew he was there. That is a Black Knight with a Black Knight halberd. I'm going to show you my favorite way to dispose of him just in a second. It's a bonfire in this little tunnel. He won't chase you past that opening there. He'll just leash back to his little spot. In my first playthrough, I was able to get his weapon, and that just made everything way easier. I still had to get good, but it made it a lot easier to get good. If you get any Black Knight weapon in your first playthrough, count yourself very lucky. So they do a ton of damage for minimal stat investment, and they're easy to upgrade too. Where'd he go? I hear him. Where you at, Dark Knight? Oh, there he is. Yeah, I want you to come down this way. Come on. See? Look, I'm healing. Oh. Well, that didn't work out. Or, wait, actually it did. He jumped off after me and died, and he's not going to respawn. But he didn't drop his halberd. That's kind of a shame. But oh well. Trying to think which way I want to go from here. I think I'll stick to where I was going for now. You get your souls right back. And this shield, the Grass Crest Shield, very popular and for good reason. Doesn't have the highest stability starting out. You can upgrade it and make the stability, increase. Doesn't have 100% physical damage reduction, but it slightly speeds stamina recovery. Now see the difference. Doesn't seem like much, but it does come in handy. A lot of times I just like to wear it on my back and two-hand my weapon and let my stamina recharge faster. Good stuff. And if we come over here, this area is still the Darkroot Basin. Over this way is actually going to be a familiar spot. Without the master key, this is where you're meant to first encounter Havel, or who is assumedly or presumably Havel. I don't really think he is for particular reasons. I think he's one of Havel's men, but it's up for debate. You come down here, there's another mini boss, the Hydra. He'll shoot highly pressurized water at you. Not gonna fight him just yet, but I wanted to show that he was there. I'm actually gonna go back up to the Darkroot Forest. Put myself up real quick, make sure none of those golems are following me. I don't think they follow you very far anyway. I'm sorry, y'all. I know some of this opening gameplay I'm showing in this part's a little boring, maybe, just explaining stuff, but I'll get into some more interesting stuff here in a minute. Alrighty. Back up to the Darkroot Garden. Yeah, these guys can be tough, but like I said, if you approach them with an upgraded weapon, they're not so bad. Purple Moss Clump, that is for healing poison. When you get inflicted with the poison status, that's going to be very useful too for another area we're going to be going to, but not anytime real soon. Yeah, he was hiding in the ground, pretending to be a regular old shrub, but I knew he was there. Ooh, the blooming Purple Moss Clump. That's the rarest one and the most important. That heals toxic, which is like poison on steroids. So very, very useful to have. When you first get to this area of the game on your first playthrough, I highly recommend farming for at least like 4 or 5 of them. They're very good to have. Illusory Wall. Another bonfire. So I just respawned all those tree guys, but it's all good. More of them you kill, the more chances you get to get that blooming purple moss and the regular purple moss, which will come in handy. Now, in this little cubby hole right here, see there's an item here. I'm not going to pick it up, because all it is a soul item, and when you pick it up, if you'll see this little bush on the ground right here, let me see if I can, hang on, there we go. Yeah, there's 3 of those guys in total in here, and if you pick up that item, they'll all jump up and try to attack you. And it doesn't seem like a big deal at first, but whenever you go back through this area henceforth, excuse me, they will always be pre-spawned waiting to come after you. So it just kind of gets annoying if you're running through this area multiple times for different reasons. You know, every time you pass by this opening, they'll automatically aggro and come after you. But if you leave that item alone, they'll always respawn back in the ground. So they're just there, you can just pick them off however you choose to. Alright, so through this fog wall, it's a big one, but this isn't the boss arena just yet. Let's see. Okay, so start off with hug this wall to the left so as not to aggro too many of the enemies that are in this area, because they're all just kind of hiding out. I'll show them here in a second. You want to come through here, there's a weapon and an enemy who's trying to be all sneaky like. Gonna deal with that. And you get the partisan, which is a spear, which unlike the wing spear has a unique R2. It's one of the only spears in the game with a swooping attack, so if you're interested in that. Just wanted to show that off real quick. I'll continue to hug this wall to the left. There's another one of these two-headed lizard guys. Oop, fail. There we go. Oh, looked like a phantom from somebody else's world just ran up and killed him too. Alright, so this whole little area here in the thick of these trees is kind of an ambush. I'm going to approach it slowly and try to take out these enemies one at a time as much as possible. First time I came up on these knights, I was like, oh my gosh, he is huge. Yeah. He likes to cast Tranquil Walk of Peace so that you can't run from him or roll when you're under that spell. And that's exactly what happens when you try to roll with Tranquil Walk of Peace affecting you. That's the most annoying thing he does, but it only lasts a few seconds. And even though these guys can hit hard, they're not terrible to deal with because they don't have a ton of health. Well, I might eat my words if I'm not careful. Heal again. Again, iframes. That sword looked like it should have hit me, but it didn't because I iframed through it. Very useful information to have because the game never explicitly explains that to you. But if you know about it, you can get good. Or get good-ish. Alright, yeah, this is the main ambush, but I'm just going to go ahead and grab that. The Elite Knight armor set. That's like the flagship armor of Dark Souls. It's a really cool looking armor set, and it's very functional too. These Stone Knights also drop their weapons and armor. Not their armor. Sword and shield is what I'm trying to say. Oh lord. I've been twopped again. There we go. See, nothing too much to worry about. Alright, and if you come over here, there's this creepy tree standing in the way. It looks like it's moving. It won't attack, but it has a life bar and you can get rid of it. There we go. Now what could he have been protecting? Some really cool stuff, that's what. Not that. Which I guess in a way that enemy is kind of cool, if not freaky looking. They have a chance to drop the blooming, not blooming. They have a chance to drop the green moss, which will further increase stamina recovery for a short amount of time. It can be pretty handy, especially in PvP. A lot of people like to use it. Another one of these trees. I don't believe the trees ever drop anything. So you walk through this thicket. That's where we're going, but I just want to show something real quick. There's a stone knight over there, and if you walk towards that edge... what the hell, I'll just demonstrate it. See if I can separate him from the other enemies that are going to jump out. Nope, I can't. Well, it is what it is. No! Hang on. I have an idea. Well, may not have been my best idea. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I still have some HP. And there you go. I didn't have 100% blocking shield, so he was able to get through just enough damage to kill me there. That's alright though. Alright, here we are again. I'm going to try to cut out all the runbacks I have to make, just to save time. I wanted to try and show you guys the view. If I could just aggro him without aggroing the rest of the enemies, I think I'll be good. There we go. Come on. A little bit further over here, dude. There we are. Ah! Not again. Alright. And of course, as soon as you kill him, the twop wears off. Trying to avoid the tongue lashing from these guys. There we go. Got some green moss. Okay, now, all that to show you this lake area over here. We're actually, I mean, obviously you can't drop down from here, you'll die, but we're going to go over there later in the playthrough. Yep. Leave a message that says gorgeous view. Alright, so up the stairs we go. We're going to get another one of the most useful rings in the game. Especially if you're just starting off. Deal with another one of these knights. Never know, he might drop his sword, which is kind of neat to have. Shield's good too. But I'm not too interested in using it, it's pretty heavy. You can just run past him if you want to. Just make sure you grab this, the wolf ring, which gives me an opportunity to talk about a stat I haven't really mentioned just yet, called poise. Now poise, that is a stat that's basically your ability to take a hit without flinching. Let me demonstrate. I'll let this guy hit me. You see how I flinch? Hang on. See? With the wolf ring equipped, you don't flinch from every hit because you have 40 poise. And there's different poise breakpoints. 40 is pretty darn good for starting off with. You can tank a good bit of things with that, but it's really more important in a... That didn't even hit me. That is weird. Oop! You always want to avoid that. If you see them raise their hands up and kind of wave them in the air like that, avoid that attack at all costs. That means they're about to jump on your head like a spider monkey and start trying to chew your brains out. And it does a lot of damage, and it's kind of aggravating to try and break free from. But I mean, I think I pretty much got the point across. It just makes you, poise just makes you able to take a hit better than if you had no poise. It also raises with heavier armor. Let's see, what stat do I want to raise for now? Put another into vitality. And endurance maybe. I'll just bring it up to about 16 vitality and keep that there for now. You know me, I like them nice even numbers unless it comes to the resistance stat. That one I don't care anything about. And of course, like I said, these guys, they respawn under the ground instead of above it. They won't chase you unless you either strike them or if you grab that item. Alright, I'm about to head to the boss I want to fight for this particular part. But in doing so, I want to reverse my hollowing, and I guess while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and kindle this bonfire so I can have 10 Estus flasks. There's an NPC I want to summon for this boss fight. You're not going to see me do that, or the majority of the bosses in the game. But I want to summon her specifically because it gives me access to this particular NPC's equipment later in the game. And, I mean, she just... Since I don't have any real ranged attacks just yet on this character, it just makes life easier. So to avoid the enemies, just kind of stay to the left here, like we did before. Until you see that tree again. And just kind of come behind these pillars. That'll avoid the majority of these stone knights. And I think he should be the only one that aggroes. One of these guys by himself isn't a huge deal. They hit hard, really high defense, but again, very low health. So if you're looking, you kind of see a little glowy thing underneath these small trees there. That's the summon sign we want to get. This is Witch Beatrice. We'll summon her for this boss fight, which is right up these stairs. There we go. Come on, Beatrice. There we are. Gotta watch the NPCs in this game. Sometimes they'll get stuck on things and just can't figure out how to get around it. So here's the Moonlight Butterfly. I think the Grass Crest Shield has pretty decent magic defense, which is what you'll need for this fight. Unless you plan to dodge everything, which I just kind of failed at just now. There we go. Just let Beatrice do her thing and take him out from a distance. And if for any reason you don't summon Beatrice for this fight, it's not a huge deal. There's just a lot of waiting involved where you have to wait for him to land before you can hit him. Oh man, she is so smart. Look at her. Just hit him with a stick. You know, just because he's close doesn't mean you can't cast your spells at him, but whatever. Beat him with a stick then. Think I had a halberd. Could actually take him out. So we get his soul. He, she, or it. As well as 10,000 souls for killing it, which is good. You come up here, and we'll see what we get. It's an oddly familiar looking statue there, with the watchtower basement key. which is the key. If you don't choose the master key at the beginning of the game, that's the key you use to get to Havel. The Divine Ember and a Homeward Bone. I don't think I've used a Homeward Bone so far in this playthrough, so I'm going to demonstrate how that works right now. If I can. Yes. Alright, so we're back here. Let me read the description on that Ember real quick. Ember for Blacksmith Weapon Ascension. So yeah, whenever you get embers, you take them to different blacksmiths. Thankfully, this one goes to Andre, so we don't have to go very far out of the way to get it to him. Any blooming purple moss? No? I would like to have at least one more of them. I probably won't farm for more, but again, if you're a newcomer, if this is your first playthrough, I highly advise it. Another purple. The blooming purple is the main one you need to farm for, because you'll get plenty of the others just from farming for the blooming. Took a hit there, but it didn't interrupt my rolling animation because of the poise. Yeah, that wolf ring, it allows you to have a huge poise boost without putting on a lot of heavy armor to weigh you down, to where you can put it on and still fast roll in your light armor. Like I said, Prowling Demon in this area, he does not respawn. He's the last one we'll see for a little while, probably. Let's talk to Andre.
My, that's a rare ember you have there. I've seen one of those before. It's the ember of a divine blacksmith. Might you consider leaving that with me? I can produce divine weapons with a flame such as that.
Sure.
Well, thanks for that. You've made a fine decision. You soon shall see.
Normally he'll stop beating on that anvil when he's talking, but sometimes he glitches out and he just keeps hammering away anyway.
Most weapons and armor are mighty sturdy indeed, but every hunk of metal has its breaking point. If you notice durability running low, it's time to repair. You can ask a blacksmith like myself, or do it on your own with a grindstone. The nice thing about weapons, they never betray you, so pay them a little respect, eh?
Words of wisdom from old Andre.
I'll be seeing you then. Be careful out there.
Alright, finally stopped hammering. Yeah, he also provides a good bit of exposition. He's another NPC that's very useful to talk to. On different occasions, he gives you hints about the divine weapons and different things. So yeah, especially on a first playthrough, talk to everybody and exhaust their dialogue. That also will give you a lot of direction in the game. Let's see. I don't want to use all these souls to level up just yet. There's actually a couple things I want to buy from Andre that'll be useful.
Well, hello again. Need it?
We'll get the Crest of Artorias later on in the playthrough, and I'll show you where to take it in the forest to progress in that area. But I want to get the repair box for one thing, and the weaponsmith box for another thing.
Don't get yourself killed. Neither of us want to see you go.
Go hollow. So those are useful to have, because now you can repair your own equipment at bonfires, as well as reinforce weapons at bonfires. Yeah, let's go ahead and repair armor. But now that we've given him that divine ember, if you reinforce your weapon to a +5,
Well,
talk to him again. You can go to modify equipment, and you can make divine weapons. Now what those do, they lower your scaling from strength and dexterity, and give you scaling from faith. And they split your physical damage down the middle with magic damage, where your magic damage increases with faith, and I think the physical still does a little bit. Yeah. And it gives you, if you'll notice at the very bottom here, I can't actually highlight it, but under auxiliary effects, you can see that plus 110, that's divine damage. That allows you to kill the skeletons without them resurrecting in, you know, the particular area of the game where there will be necromancers constantly raising them up. So it's an area called the catacombs.
I'll be seeing you.
Useful to have divine weapons for that area. Make your life a lot easier. So that's going to be it for part 4. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in a bit with part 5.